Hello, my name is Melanie McCarthy, and I'm here today at the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston, to present to you Glassell on the Go at Home. Engaging and persisting. This is Project 2. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an accordion booklet. We're going to be developing our own artist statement. Within our accordion booklet, we're going to do some journaling and write down some answers about what we think art is and do a little bit of drawing. But first, let's look at an artist who masterfully combines text and image. On your handout, you should have a picture of a plate by Grayson Perry. Now, before I read the title to you and before you try to read the text at the bottom of the image, let's first take a look at the pictures that are on this plate. So I see some horses, which might be a hunting scene, a couple walking, and a lady with a telephone. Now, I'm not quite sure what these images have to go together, but they seem like they're taken from an outside source and transferred over. Definitely the lady to the right reminds me of a very old magazine clipping for some sort of advertisement. But I'm not sure what these have in common. So now let's take a look at the text. All things dark and terrible, God made them all. Wow, my perception of these images on the plate are really starting to change now that I have this little text in my mind. The girl to the right, her face suddenly looks a little bit evil, like she knows something that I don't. She's about to go call someone and tell them. The man's face is looking a little bit evil. And to the left, I'm starting to notice that this is some sort of hunting scene. They're racing towards something. So Grayson Perry is a ceramic artist, so he does a lot of plates and pottery. Within his work, he's always trying to get the viewer to question their assumptions about society, gender, and politics. And I think he does this very well in this plate, All Things Dark and Terrible. At first glance, we don't really know what these images are, but once we read the text, we start to understand that there's something else happening behind the surface. We start to question our first assumptions. Now, I have a question for you. Why do you think the artwork is on a plate? Well, I have an answer for you. Grayson Perry, not only in his ideas, but in his medium, he likes to challenge the viewer about what we think art is. Would you usually consider art to be a plate? When I think about fine art in a big museum, I think about these large, grand paintings. I don't often consider that a plate can be art. So Grayson Perry's idea is to challenge our first ideas of what we think art is. So in our accordion booklet, we're going to come up with our own ideas about what art is. So often people try to push their own beliefs on us, but it's really important to come up with your own. So within your packet, you have a large piece of paper, and this is going to be the paper that we're going to make our booklet out of. So first step is to place it vertically, and then you're going to want to fold it in half this way. I'm going to use the edge of the table to make sure that both sides meet. So you're going to want to do a very gentle little push here. And so in your package, you have a bone folder tool, and it looks like this. Now this is a tool specifically made for bookmaking. It was originally made out of bone or ivory, but now it's plastic, so don't worry. And you're gonna take this and kind of put your hand like this across so you have a lot of control, and then just slide it across, boom. Now I'm going to show you a trick for cutting paper in a way that both sides are equal. You can either cut it down the middle if you want, or take your scissors and just eyeball it and make sure that you're cutting a very small line across. So now I have these two sheets. I'm going to put one down and focus on this one. The next step is to take this piece of paper, fold it downwards, do another soft fold, take your bone folder, do a hard fold, and the result is this. Now you're going to take this side and fold it in half upwards. Each time you do a fold, you're going to need your bone folder because this is very thick paper. This is the result. Now for the last part, you're going to take this and do the same. Fold it downwards towards you so that you can see where the two ends meet and make sure that they are straight. Alrighty, here is the result, an M or a W. And now we're going to do this on the other side. Alrighty, so I've made M's or W's out of both sides. And this is the result. Now we're going to glue these two pieces together. You should have a glue stick in your packet. Now the tricky part here is making sure that when you glue these two pieces together, that they continue in that zigzag form. So I'm gonna put these standing up on the table and kind of clasp them together like this. And now I know that it is continued. And now I'm going to glue them. Alrighty, now I have more pages. And this is an accordion booklet. So within your packet, you should have a sheet of paper with 7 prompts or 7 questions for you to fill out on this book. Now you're going to be filling out the questions on one side and answering them on the other. So I'm going to start with the front of my book. I'm going to write down every single question on here, and then I'm going to flip it over and on the back answer them. Make sure that you wait for your glue to dry a bit so that the pages don't move around. Alrighty, so I've taken the questions from the piece of paper and rephrased them in a way that I can understand them better. The first question is, what is art? And that is the cover of my book. And then as you can see, all of the questions are on one side, which gives me an opportunity to answer them on the back. Now I'll answer the first one with you. What is art? Now, of course, I don't want to tell you what art is. And in fact, a sign of a really good artist is someone who can constantly re-examine their own ideas of art and change them with time. This is what gives an artist perseverance and persistence in creating for long periods of time, like even their whole lifetime. So what is art? I'm going to give you a second to think about that, and I'm going to write down an answer. When you're answering these questions, you may not come up with a really good answer immediately, and that's absolutely okay. This is just a brainstorming practice. So one thing that you might find really helpful is to answer these questions with bullet points. Your first idea that comes up in your head, write a bullet point. Then the next idea, and then the next idea. And you may end up with an entire list of ideas, but the last idea you come up with about what is art will probably be more deeply thought about than the first one, more interesting. So right off the top of my head, and I came up with these questions, so human instinct to create. To me, that's what art is. We've been creating since the beginning of time, so I think it's a natural part of our abilities as human beings, but that is my own opinion. So the next question is, what is art supposed to do? What would this say to the world if it was on a billboard? So what I mean by that is, what is art supposed to do? Come up with that question in your head, and then think about, what if your answer was on the side of the road and people driving on the highway had to read that answer every single day on their way to work? Or what if this answer were on screen like an advertisement, like instead of a commercial, it was just your answer? What would that say to the world? How would they respond? What would that make people think? So here I go. My answer is, art is supposed to change the way people think. So what I mean by that is like give you a bigger perspective of the world, and hopefully that would say to the world is that art is for everyone, and everyone should always have the opportunity to change the way that they think. Alrighty, so I'm gonna let you answer the next few questions on your own. Hopefully my sharing some ideas gives you a little bit to jump off from, but like I said before, this is just a little bit of brainstorming. This is my own personal opinions. You should have your own opinion. It can be really goofy, like Grayson Perry, the artist we're looking at. He has an artist manifesto, which is a set of ideas that he believes art is, and one of them, he says that every single painting should be above your head so that people can see it. So it can be really goofy. It's up to you. Alrighty, so I've finished my answers. Here's the front and here's the back. I made sure to use the colored pencils on every single page because I knew it would make everything a lot more exciting and also make it easier for me to answer these questions. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you have a little bit more of an understanding of what you think art is and how it can contribute to this world. And hopefully you continue to ask yourself these questions again and again and again. And I hope they continue to change. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see what y'all have made.